Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Discriminating Gamer. Say, did you know that when Einstein told his father that he finally published his paper on relativity, his father congratulated him and said, "It's about time." Ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to go ahead and take a look at Wormholes from AEG. Hello everybody, we'll be back to the review in just a second. I just want to take a minute to tell you to go visit Galaxy of Games in West Jordan, Utah. It is Utah's newest game store. It's run by friends of mine. It's a great place, great selection, great prices, well-lit, clean bathrooms. If you go in there, ladies and gentlemen, and you tell them that I sent you, the Discriminating Gamer, and you use the promo code TDG, you'll get 10% off of your purchase. Check out Galaxy of Games. In Wormholes from AEG, 1 to 5 players take on the roles of various ship captains as they attempt to travel the galaxy, seed wormholes, pick up and drop off passengers, and attempt to gain the most points. Now, depending on player count and which side of the tiles you want to use, you go ahead, you set out the tiles on the board in a certain arrangement. Now, you have a space station where you're going to start, but each of the tiles has planets and other features. Now, the space station, when the first player goes, is going to place his spaceship around the space station, and he's going to place one of his wormholes adjacent to it. Now, you each have 2 wormholes. You have 2 1s, 2 2s, 2 3s, etc. And you're going to go ahead and you're going to place one of your wormholes right there. Now, what you can do on your turn is you have 3 energy tokens, essentially. Every time you move one space, you flip over one of those tokens. Now, as you move through space, you can go anywhere except on spaces that are black, so you actually cannot go on the planets, you can just go adjacent to them. You can't go on the asteroids, you can just go adjacent to them. And there's some various other features around the board that you cannot go on to, you can just go adjacent to. Now, at the beginning of the game, you've actually stacked a number of point tokens on top of some other tokens. I'll talk more about that later. But if you go to a planet, you can actually leave a wormhole there. So you can go ahead, leave a wormhole. If it is the same as the wormhole you started out with, you flip them both over, that wormhole is now active. Now that you have dropped off a token at that wormhole next to a planet, you get a token. You get the top token. Every time a player drops off a wormhole next to a planet, it doesn't have to be an active wormhole, you just drop off a wormhole next to a planet, you get the top token from the stack. You're going to earn points. As you get closer and closer to the bottom, you get the planets further and further out, those points are going to be worth more. Now, you can actually go through your wormhole or somebody else's, and it does not cost you anything. It's a free action. Now, when you get to a planet, you can actually pick up passengers. Now, at the beginning of the game, you are given a number of passenger cards, and now, whenever you go to a planet, you can bring your hand up to 4. Before you bring your hand up to 4, you can actually discard any number of passengers, and then again draw up to 4. When you discard, you don't have a collective discard pile. Rather, you create the space dock. You place all the cards of a certain planet in the same deck. So essentially, if somebody goes to the space dock, they can choose where they're going to take their passengers to. Now, you can also, when you arrive at a planet, you can just drop off your passengers. That's another free action, in which case you set your cards off to the side, you bank them, those are points at the end of the game. Now, depending on where you move on the board, there's some map features. For instance, there's the photon cannon. It looks like a compass, which can actually shoot you a number of spaces in a straight line. You've also got a black hole, which can let you reveal the top card of the passenger deck, and you've got some other terrain features that let you do some funky and interesting things. Now, players are going around, they're moving, and they're planting these wormholes. As I say, when you use a wormhole that you've put there, or another player's wormhole, it's free, it doesn't cost you anything. But every time you use a wormhole that belongs to another player, that player gets a point from the bank. So it's advantageous to create a number of wormholes and hope that your opponents are going to use that, because every time they do, you get a point. Now, as you are seeding more and more of those wormholes, as I say, you're taking those point tokens, and once you have seeded the last planet on the board has a wormhole token next to it, then you go ahead and you complete that round, and then you have 3 more rounds. You play through the last 3 rounds, and then as soon as the round is over, you go to scoring. Now, you're going to score in a few different ways. First of all, you get points for any of your scoring tokens for completing those wormholes next to planets. You also, of course, get the points for any players who have used your wormholes. You get those points as well. You also get points for delivering passengers. You believe I get about 2 points per passenger, so however many cards you've delivered, you add up those points as well. Now, if you complete a galactic tour, which means you've dropped off passengers at more than 5 different planets, for every planet you've dropped them off to above 5, you score an additional 3 points. So players are going around, they're moving throughout the galaxy, they are seeding wormholes, they are using their own and their other players' wormholes, they are picking up passengers, they're dropping off passengers, and they're doing all sorts of other kooky things in order to score points. At the end of the game, whoever has the most points wins. Wormholes. We'll get back to the review in just a moment. I want to take a minute to ask you to check out my other channel, that is Cody Carlson, PhD, where we talk about history, books on history, military history. I even post some of my lectures for my classes on there. Please check that out. Please subscribe to that channel. And now, back to the review. So, Wormholes is basically a pick up and deliver game. You are picking up passengers, you're dropping them off, and it's a pretty simple game. There's not a lot to it in terms of deep complexity. This is another kind of what I like to think of as kind of a family-friendly, easy-to-learn, easy-to-play game, and this is something that AEG is known for. They make tons of these kinds of games, and they are just masters at it. They know how to make these games that, as I say, are simple to learn, easy to play, and they are very, very engaging. Generally, I'm a big fan of AEG as a company because they know what they do, and they do it very, very well. Wormholes is no exception. I think Wormholes is a very fun, light game. It plays pretty quickly. You're looking at, half hour, 45 minutes for 4 players. I played this game a few times. I played it at a 3-player count, a 4-player count. And generally, I gotta say, I do enjoy 4 players better. I think this is a game, to me, that shines with the more players you have. Of course, I haven't played it. There's a solitaire version here, and there's a 2-player version. I haven't played either of those. But it seems to me this is a game that really shines the more players you have. I'd like to play it with 5. I think that would be fun. I think the more crowded your universe is, the more use of other people's wormholes you have, and more tough decisions about, do I want that guy to get a point, but I need to get across the galaxy. So I think that's going to come up as well. On the whole, I think this is a lot of fun. It's another great light game from AEG, and I ate it up. Most of the people I played it with liked it. I did play it with one friend of mine, Nate. He said it's just not his cup of tea, but that's just, he's not a big fan of pick up and deliver. But everybody else I played it with has really enjoyed it. There's a sandbox element here. If anything, I wish there was a little bit more you could do. I wish maybe you had a little bit more options. Maybe there was some Take That I would think would be really fun in this game. So hopefully we'll see some expansions that may add those things. But that's, just me dreaming. The game itself, as it exists, I think is a lot of fun for what it is. Recommendation for the discriminating gamer for Wormholes is buy it. Thank you once again for joining us today on The Discriminating Gamer. As always, we ask you to please leave a comment for us on YouTube, on Board Game Geek, on our Facebook page, or on thediscriminatinggamer.com. We'd ask you to please like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, and follow us on Twitter. I'd also ask you, ladies and gentlemen, to please check out my other channel, that is Cody Carlson, PhD, where we talk about military history and books on history and fun things like that. Please check it out, please subscribe, and please give a thumb to this video on Board Game Geek. That helps us out a lot as well. Ladies and gentlemen, I only recently learned that Albert Einstein was an actual person. I always thought he was a theoretical physicist.